first started doing 2-point discrimination. Why do you think the paperclip wasn't so good?
It's not standardized.
It's not standardized, but what else about a paperclip? It's sharp, right? Depending upon how that clip was cut, it could have been getting our sharp, dull nociceptors over here, right? And we don't want to test those. So they basically standardize the tool distance, but also by giving it a rounded nature. So here, we're going to randomly apply 2 points, starting at 5. You ask the person to say whether they feel 1 or 2. And basically you want to know what is the smallest distance that can feel 2 points. That sounds kind of funny, but usually it's pretty clear. Now Dylan will say, like, you have to administer it 7 times. I think the book says 3 out of 4, so there's going to be some discrepancy in this. It's really hard to count 7. It just is. Mm-hmm. But usually it's pretty clear. Let me see your cards. You have the cards. I think I put both norms on there. I just want to make sure I'm, yeah. Oh, or didn't I put them in there? Oh, yeah. Okay. Score is smallest distance points where it's better than chance. Face's response becomes hesitant or inaccurate. So I'm not giving you a lot. 2 out of 3, 3 out of 4. Dylan would say 7 out of 10. So here again, it's not real clear, but you want it to be enough that, yes, this is where they're at. So let's try it once and we'll see. Shannon, are you okay if I use you again here? This time I'm going to sit down because application is important here. Why do you think application's really important? Do you have tell us here? Can I give you? Application is important because of force. You know, if I put a lot of force on her, that's going to change and make it more deep pressure, you know, than just 2 points. And let's see. Let's try that hand just for, okay. So I want to support here enough here. Innervation density, most of the norms are going to be on the distal fingertips. That doesn't mean you can't do it other places. There's norms for the face too, but you can compare it to the other side, right? So if you know what their normal is, just like any of the other tests, their normal is going to be better than norms. But if you don't have that, for the practicum, you're only going to have time to test one side, so you're going to have to use your norms for the most part because you're just not going to have time to do both. But let me explain the test.
Okay.
Okay. What we're going to do is take a look at your ability to feel 1 or 2 points on your index fingertip because we know this is a median nerve injury, and I'm going to use that screening point again here because it's going to be reflective, and if I want to do more, I can. But we only have so much time, so you have to decide. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put, make sure your finger's supported there. I'm going to put either 1 or 2 points on your fingertip, and I want you to say whether they're 1 or 2. Now notice these are rounded, so they're not sharp. It's important that they don't fear what you have. So I'm going to make a couple notes. There's been a lot of talk about how the 2-point discriminator is placed. Your book's going to say longitudinal like this. The only reason they say that is because if there's a digital nerve injury, they don't want you to cross both sides because the finger's split in half. Other than that, Dylan's like, it really doesn't matter. Innervation density is innervation density. It's how many are in. It really shouldn't be like different. So no, if you see somebody do it across these distributions, it's not necessarily wrong. The only reason you have to do it this way is if there's digital nerves, it'll be different from side to side. So just understand that application because you might see somebody do it this way, and there's going to be many books that show it this way. And Dylan would say, yeah, that's accurate if it's a median nerve, not a digital nerve injury, but a more proximal median nerve injury. So if book's going to say this way, that's only to take into account digital nerves. Okay, so what I want you to do is just say 1 or 2.
2. 2. 2. F1. One. One. Two. One. Two. 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 One. One.
Okay, so I'm gonna say 3 millimeters, because at the 2 millimeters, I applied it 4 times, so she only got it once. But she got 3 millimeters consistently. So that's what I mean, it's kind of a judgment call. It's really hard to count whether you're doing 4 or 7 times, but it was pretty clear it was 3. That's the way it normally is in clinic. It's pretty clear it was 3, because that 2 she only got once, and it was pretty hesitant. you
Yeah,
know?
it was hard to tell.
It was really hard to tell. So I would put her at 3 millimeters, which is normal. That's that marching down, so that's the constant touch. Now the moving touch is very similar. The only thing is we're going to move, and the only thing tricky about it is the movement is from proximal to distal, instead of distal to proximal. Most of the sensory tests we go distal to proximal, but in this case we're moving across the finger pad like this. So we're going to do the same test again, only this time I'm going to be moving the points. So either 1 or 2. Okay? Two. 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 1. 2. 1. 1. 2. So she again got 3 out of 4 at the 3 millimeters. It was difficult at the 2 millimeters. Now, keep in mind, you guys were excellent quiet in here when I was doing that. This is also if there's a lot of cognitive distraction, a lot of you in here will get higher than 3 millimeters, just because it's so hard for the brain to attend versus a quiet environment, which is why we advocate for quiet testing rooms in our clinics, so that you don't have all this distraction, because you are requiring the brain to concentrate like a hearing test here, only it's a touch test. And if you have a lot of extra stimulation, you're not going to be able to get as good of results. So here we have the test of the Meissner's corpuscles with the moving, and innervation density for constant touch with the 2-point. Okay. Then the other test that we're going to do that's more standardized is looking at how much pressure you have on the fingertip. And these are color coded. You're going to note 2.83, 3.61, 4.31, which is purple, and then a 6.65. Now these are kind of like the basic screening tools, and how straight they are matter. And if you can look at this, you're going to see my 2.83 is bent. I'll probably get some hot water and see if we can't straighten it. As a side tip, the splinting pans work great. Stick this in there for a few seconds, let the weight of the water, and a lot of times they straighten these. So you don't have to order new ones because they're kind of expensive. But ideally, these should all be straight. Each one of these is equivalent to so many grams pressure. And on your sheet, it doesn't say the grams pressure on here. 2.83 grams. Yeah, it is the number of grams, I guess. 2.83 grams each one. And then the colors, you'll see therapists color in using that color code what they are. Now the only hard part is if your charts are copied, it's not going to copy the color like for insurance. So sometimes you're going to see people do different colors of lines and dots and all sorts of other visualizations. But we can use our same screening points here. The Sines-Winston monofilaments, normally you're going to start low and go up high. That's how Radomski says. Now, if I screened and already know there's no sensation, as a clinician, I will go to where I think I need to go to get results. Because you don't have time to do 3 applications of this one and march all the way up the arm. So your screening is important here. But we know she's a median nerve. And so I'm gonna go ahead and do this test. And what we're going to do is look at the amount of pressure you can detect. And what I'm gonna do is touch these filaments to your fingertip. And what I want you to do is say touch if you feel anything at all. Okay? So I'm gonna have you put your hand up here.
Can I actually know what the injury?
No,
Okay.
just do it like you
Actually
have
do it,
been,
okay.
because I think it's important that you
Yes,
see,
okay.
you know, that it is usually a pretty defined point. As arbitrary as what it sounds, usually that line is clear, especially when we're using this difference in pressure. A significant amount of difference here between the light and the heavy. As a matter of fact, the heavy is so heavy, it's really testing the nociceptors. It's really testing protective sensation. It's not really constant touch.
Is it heavy to 6.61?
Yes, yeah. So that interpretation, even on the form, it says, should say the loss of deep pressure sensation or absent sensation, no response, so. And the filaments below 4.31, you can apply up to 3 times to get a response. So if she doesn't get it the first time, I have 2 more times, and then after that, you only need 1 application. Okay. So,
So I'm just saying if I feel it.
yeah, just say touch if you feel anything at all.
Touch. Touch. Touch.
Okay, so I know she's at 3.61 because she got that. And I applied this because I just didn't want her to have that long of time without feeling anything, so I put this one in there. But as soon as you have your reading then, I don't have to go any further. She's 3.61. That is going to be diminished light touch. Not that I'm worried about that.
Yep.
Yeah. Keep in mind, this is a very dense filament.
My hand is also kind of numb.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, we're probably giving you carpal tunnel.
So do you push on it until you see a little bow?
Yes, I was going to mention that next. If you were watching me, the only thing bad about these filaments is they really should be black. It's really hard to see. If you notice me really having to look, especially as your eyes get a little older, I can't believe they designed these clear like this. It's so hard to see. So yeah, you want to. It's like I don't know. You don't want to bounce them because then you're going to get different receptor. It is a very low, right on and then till when it bows and then off. And so you don't want to do this. It's
I
a
felt that
So
one.
it's not-
1001, 1002 and off. Yeah. So it's supposed to be like a second to a second and a half application. Yeah, if we see bouncing like this in the practicum, it's like no.
Yeah. 'Cause I could feel it that when you.
Yeah, when you bounce it, you
Yeah.
can feel it, right?
Mhm.
But it should be just a very light. You almost have to look to the side to be able to see it because it's so hard. I suppose if we had dark towels, it might help too. But going against a white towel, it's really hard to see. But you're going to see with the large filaments, it's pretty hard to even get that to.
Oh,
You're looking then that the fingertip is blanching. You can't really get it to bow per se, but these smaller ones you can. Okay. So here again, it looks like it might be fuzzy, but it's not, especially when they're this far apart in filaments. Now keep in mind, they make kits like this that have all those different grades of grams of force. Most common though, you're gonna see these sets of 5. Usually it has this one, the other red too in here. You know, and sometimes there's versions where they're just one tool and you flip up the filaments, you know, so there's also those type. But, okay, so this is telling us what? Yeah, well, and how much pressure before they can feel touch, right? So if it's something really light here, they're not gonna be able to feel it if it's, you know, but if it's a heavier, something on their fingertips, they probably can. Or what you'll find, if people don't have good receptors that are giving them good feedback, they're going to probably push harder than they need to on that pencil or on that object, right? And what we worry about then, even sometimes to the point of skin breakdown, because they're trying so hard to get feedback, right? So you might have to visually cue them on pressure and really watching their tips or watching the insensitive area so they don't have damage. Okay. You can go ahead.